Hello and welcome to our 100k Q&A. That's right, we finally got to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. It is day 31 of the Siargao Island Lockdown.
It is.
And we're going to answer the questions that you guys put to us so you can get to know us a little bit better.
So the first question we're going to answer is, what is the meaning of your channel name, 8 Miles From Home?
So the story goes that years ago we were driving back from Scotland in an old car. It broke down 8 miles from home and we both said to ourselves, we're done with this life in England, we want to travel. And that's when we left and went to Thailand and started our journey there.
So very soon after we moved to Thailand, we were in our first house there in this wooden Thai style little house, and we were just chatting and I said, if I ever wrote a book, I think I'd call it 8 Miles From Home.
Based on the breakdown.
Yeah, of the car.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like the catalyst of us moving to Thailand, being broken down 8 miles from home. And from that, we then started a blog and decided to call it 8 Miles From Home. And then the videos came after.
If you actually go to our website, 8milesfromhome.com, there's a blog post which explains it all in more detail.
So the next question was a very popular one, and it is, how did we meet?
Yes, well, we met when we were children in school at about 11 years old.
Yes.
And I fancied Sacha for a long time, but I didn't have the guts to ask her out. So I just put it off for years and years. She dated other boys and I sat in the background. And then right at the end of school, so 5 years went by, and then I decided it's my last chance. I asked her out on a date and we went to the cinema. And then we became boyfriend and girlfriend. So we met at 11, we started dating at 16. And then there was a couple of breakups along the way, a few ones. And then we got back together properly in our early 20s. And then we've stayed together ever since.
We went travelling around the world together on a 11-month trip at the age of 20 to 21. And we got married at age 26.
Yeah.
And we are now this year going to celebrate our 9th year of marriage, aren't we?
And we're 35 and 36 years old.
Next question, how old is Story, and is she/will she be homeschooled?
She is 3 years and 4 months old.
Yes, she was born in November 2016.
And yes, we are going to homeschool her. We've always planned on doing it from the minute she was born, to be honest.
Yeah, we have looked into alternative schooling and things like that. But right now, yes, she is homeschooled. Obviously, she's still quite young for proper school anyway. But when that time comes, we will be homeschooling her.
When she gets past the age of 6 or 7 years old, we will look into, again, more alternative school options.
Yeah.
But right now, we think that she's benefiting most from us being there and teaching her together.
Right, so the next question was also a very popular one, and it is, what is the story behind Story's name?
So, years ago, there was this film called Lady in the Water, and there was a little water nymph called Story. And that was the first time we'd heard the word story associated with a person or a girl. And this was years back, you know, before we were even considering kids.
Yes.
And then when the time came to have kids,
Yeah.
people assume that I want a boy because I'm a guy, but I always did want a girl.
Yes.
And then when we were leaving the hospital after the ultrasound,
Yep, after the scan that I had in Thailand where you found out the sex of the baby and we just found out Story was a girl, as we were leaving the hospital, Jay said, oh, it's our little Story, as in the next part of our life, the next chapter.
Yeah.
And the name just stuck from there, and yeah, that's why she's called Story, because she is our story.
And our whole lives, recently, have been about storytelling and telling stories, and it just seemed to fit perfectly. And we really think it's just a nice name for a girl.
Yes.
A little girl called Story.
Yeah. And her middle name is Ember. And when we were thinking of middle names, we were sitting in our house, which had a log fire at the time, and there were lots of sparks and embers flying around, and we were staring into the fire, and we just thought, you know what, that's a really nice name, because even after all the flames are gone down, there's always a little spark left, a little ember to be a little light in our life. So that is why she's called Story Ember.
And she's currently covered in charcoal from this burnt log. Very fitting.
Next question is, are you staying in the Philippines for good? And if yes, would you stay and live on Siargao, or would you go somewhere else?
I think something that people will learn quickly about us is that nothing is ever permanent. We never say we're going to stay somewhere forever, because we don't know what is the future is holding.
Yeah, but currently we love it here on Siargao, and we feel like this has given us a good head start in a way. So if we did stay in the Philippines more long term, we feel like we know a bit about the island already to be able to start living. Whereas if we went somewhere else straight away, we'd have to start again, like with finding out everything and all the information, and just like little things like where to go shopping and things like that.
So to clarify, we currently don't have any official plans to move here, and we still have a house that we're renting in Portugal right now and a life there. So we need to make some decisions in the next like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
But it's looking likely that we are going to come back here for a period of time to live, yes.
This next question was also a very popular one, and it is all about being vegan. And why are we vegan? Is it difficult to not eat meat? And are we hungry all the time? 4 years ago, actually, we went vegetarian. When I got pregnant with Story, I decided to stop eating meat because of the hormones in the meat while I was pregnant and the meat quality in Thailand and everything. I just didn't want to eat any meat while I was pregnant. So Jay decided to do it with me and be supportive.
One of the things that you start to look into a lot when you've got human growing inside you is your health and how you can be the healthiest you can be. And so Sacha started looking into all of these articles about what meat does to your body when you eat it, what dairy products do to your body, and it was just quite shocking. And so when Sacha decided she wanted to be healthier, it was just a no-brainer for me to like want to be in on that.
About 18 months after being vegetarian, we then just started cutting out all the dairy products and cheese and things like that. And it was a kind of a gradual but natural progression onto being vegan. So we've actually been vegan for 2 years now.
Don't miss meat at all.
Not at all. Nothing. I don't miss anything about not being vegan.
A lot of people say, "Oh, don't you miss bacon? Don't you miss it?" It's not at all. The food that we cook is really, really tasty. It's full of flavours and spices and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You don't miss any of the flavours from the old foods that we used to make.
Yeah, and Story has been vegan since she was 3 months old, and she's super healthy, never been to the doctor, you know, she's strong, she's fit. And are you hungry all the time?
No, not a chance. I mean, if you have a look at the description below, we've got a recipe book that we wrote, and it's free and you can check it out for yourself. Everything in there is really hearty, heavy meals full of beans and full of pulses and potatoes, and you don't have to be hungry and eat just salads or something to be vegan. There's so many options. It opens up your palate to everything, and I do not miss anything from my old eating ways at all.
No, me neither. Next up we have, what is your favourite Filipino food?
My favourite Filipino food at the moment is the eggplant salad that's grilled with coconut milk.
Yeah, not entirely sure what it's called, but we've had it a couple of times when we could go out.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy to find out that a lot of Filipino dishes can be made vegan really easily.
Yeah.
So we were experimenting with a few. You made one the other day, didn't you?
I made the sinigang, the sour soup, which was really nice. We all enjoyed it. So I have to say that's my favourite at the moment because it's a proper Filipino food, but veganised, and it was really, really tasty. We've also had a few pancit cantons, haven't we?
Yeah.
that they've been really good. And the lumpias?
Lumpias? Yeah, lumpias.
Yeah.
Like a spring roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, just without meat inside it. And obviously with the flour and water wraps, they're really tasty.
Yeah. But I think there's more to discover.
Oh, so much more.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure each island is going to have their own speciality as well.
Okay, do you miss Portugal? Where did you live and what did you like about it? And are you coming back to Portugal?
Big question. Yes, very much so. I miss my friends, I miss our house, I miss our little garden, our neighbour.
Yeah.
There's lots. There's something about the European summertime that is just unbeatable.
Yeah, there really is.
We said to ourselves the ideal situation would be to live in Europe for most of the year and then to live in Asia during the winter when it gets cold and miserable there.
There is a lot of stuff that we miss about being in Portugal. And where did we live? So when we first moved, we moved to Mortágua, which is in central Portugal, and we lived there for 2 years. It was a very rural community.
After that, we moved down to the Silver Coast, as it's called, to a town called Halmstad, and it's absolutely beautiful there. They've got the most amazing beaches, the most rough and raw seas and coastlines. We loved it. So beautiful to film.
Yeah, it really is. And there's just what we loved about Portugal. or do love about Portugal is the diversity of it. You've got beaches, you've got really cool cities. We really love Porto and we like Lisbon as well. They're both great cities.
And just like here, the people that you meet are super friendly and just willing to help. So if you've got any issues, everyone's just willing to jump on it straight away. Honestly speaking, we had a lot more plans to be spending a lot more time in Portugal, but because of the current world situation and our current personal situation there, we've had to make some decisions. So the clear answer is yes, we are going back, but I don't think we're going to be able to stay for much longer.
It's all a bit uncertain at the moment, but we do love Portugal still, and it will always have a special place to us because it's where Story was born as well, so that's another nice thing about that country. Next question, what's the first thing you'll do after lockdown?
Go to a restaurant. It's been wonderful cooking at home and just spending all of our time here, but just having the freedom to do that again, to go out somewhere and have someone else cook for you and try a speciality from another chef, that would be nice.
I would really like to just get in the tuk-tuk and drive for ages and get as far as we can and see a different beach and just feel like we've got that freedom of travel again. Right, a few people want to know, what were your jobs before travel and YouTube?
Well, I've had quite a few jobs.
You've had a few.
Yeah, I used to be a delicatessen in a supermarket, then I was a delivery driver, then I was a metal worker, then I was a car painter, and then I was a graphic designer, and now I'm a filmmaker. So yeah, a few things.
And for me, I was a care assistant in a children's hospital. Then I was a nurse, then I was a phlebotomist, also in a children's hospital. Then I was a receptionist for a couple of different companies.
Then we started a wedding photography business together.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
I almost forgot about that.
Then we were wedding photographers.
And that was the last jobs that we did in the UK before we decided to pack it all up and move to Thailand.
Yes. So what is your ethnicity, Jay?
And loads of people want to know this when we travel because everyone kind of thinks I'm from there.
Yeah, you just blend in wherever you go, don't you?
I'm a super mix. So I'm basically partly Scottish, partly Burmese, like my mum, and then part Arabic as well. And there's a little bit of Portuguese in me too.
Yeah.
But I was born and raised in London my whole life, so I just kind of see myself as English, really.
Yeah, and I'm fully English. This is an interesting question, and it is, what is the title of the outro song?
Oh, well, you won't believe this, but we actually had a personal score composed for our journey quite a while ago now from this amazing producer called Chris Cutting. We found him randomly on YouTube and asked him if he would make music for our journey, and he made us 5 different songs. The song that's on the end of the videos is called Moments Behind Us, and it was basically a part of the song that he composed for Story's birth video.
Yes.
So if you haven't watched that yet, put a link up here. You can watch that. It's very emotional. We're talking about you, Story.
Hello. Oh, what's this? Oh, a tiny shell. Wow, that's really sweet. Thank you.
I was speaking with Chris Cutting just last night. He's going to release all of those songs as an album, and he wants to produce a new song for us too now that Story's older. He's been watching the journey and he's like, the music needs to be a little bit more tailored to her, so he's going to make us a new song.
It's really cool.
It's really exciting.
Another very popular question, and we've answered this loads, but we're going to answer it again because a lot of you are new. But the question is, are you going to have any more children?
We don't really want to have any more children, to be honest.
No, right now we're fine. We like being a threesome. We like Story. Oh, we like giving all of us to Story and just dedicating all our time to her. And we like our life right now, so having another baby isn't really on the cards. No. And following on from that one, someone has asked, if Story was a boy, would you still have named them Story?
No.
No, Story was just our girl name.
Yeah.
But we did have a boy name, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, but I'm kind of glad that we didn't choose it in the end.
So if we'd have had a boy, his name would have been Atlas Rome.
Yeah.
And that was kind of set
for
pretty much the whole time, until we found out that she was a girl. Someone is also asking, would you sign Story up for modelling?
No. I think she spends enough time in front of the camera as it is. And I think that's a decision for her to make later by herself. There's nothing wrong with it, of course. You know, the world does need child models, I guess, for advertising and whatever. But we don't think Story needs that as part of her life.
Yes.
We don't think we need to make that decision for her.
No. Okay, next question is, would you bring Eden back to the Philippines with you?
definitely.
Yeah, 100% yes. If Eden is able to, we definitely want to bring her if we do decide to move here for long term, definitely.
Eden is part of the family. We miss her so much.
We do, yes.
And yes, she's an old dog now, but she is happiest when someone is just like kind of touching her.
With her.
Yeah. And just like sitting on our lap and stuff. She would be happy anywhere.
Yeah.
And we really want to spend as much time as possible with her because we don't know how much longer we've got left with Eden.
So if she gets the all clear from a vet to travel, then yeah, we will bring her. This next question is a very interesting one and quite a deep question as well. So it is, what is your process for dealing with change on a regular basis as a travelling family?
We actually made a video about this a little while ago, talking about how change is the only constant in life.
Yep.
And it's based on a philosophy from a philosopher from very long ago called Heraclitus. And it's very true. If you can train yourself in a way to be okay with change, very good at being able to adapt, then it doesn't matter what happens in the world around you, you will be prepared for it. So we've basically tried to use that philosophy in teaching Story. We want her to be okay with her environment changing, but as long as she's got certain little constants with her, like for example us being there.
Yeah. So for travelling, being a travelling family, we are Story's constant because we are always with her, no matter where we are, what country we're in, or what hotel room we're in. For example, we are always going to be there, and she has her little toy that she brings along with her, so that's another constant for her, so that when things do change, she always has something that's familiar or similar for her to just carry that through, that is always going to be there.
And because she is a child, she needs a little bit more explained to her, helping her to welcome change as well. Not so much, I mean, we've mentioned here dealing with change, but we actually welcome it, don't we?
It's exciting. We do. We welcome it, and we see it as a way to grow and to be excited about new things. So that in itself is a way of dealing with it, by just welcoming it and going with the flow in a way. And it's not a negative thing if things change, and quite often a lot of good come out of changes. So
Exactly. So far we feel that Story has responded very well to that philosophy, and especially on this trip was kind of a test for us to see if she could deal with all of this change, and she's been an excellent traveller.
She has, yeah. So we're now on the last question of this Q&A, and it is, what have you learned in life having experienced both the luxury and simple ways of living?
That you don't need much, really, at all.
I would say exactly the same thing. You need a lot less than you think you do.
We find that the more things that we have, the more stressed out we are these days. It is nice to experience luxury, but we don't need it. And that is the main thing I think we've learned. You know, when you dabble in both, you soon realise that if you personally aren't happy as a person, then you could be in the most fancy hotel and still be depressed. It's more important to work on your state of mind, and sometimes the best way to do that is just to stop in one place and just enjoy what's there for as long as possible.
Go back to basics, enjoy the little things.
But even in a city or in a poor area or something, there's always some kind of joy, or there's some spark somewhere that you can stop and focus on. And if you're not looking at the full big picture all the time, your brain can really tune in to the beauty that is everywhere, not just in a location like this, but everywhere. Now, of course, there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of questions to get through, so we couldn't get through them all. We've listed the names below of everybody that did ask things that were similar.
Yes, and I'm sorry that if we've missed names, I'm sure that we have, but there was so many responses which we are really, really grateful for. We hope that this little Q&A has helped to reintroduce ourselves to you, or introduce ourselves to you if you're a new subscriber. And we just want to say massive thanks to everybody for being part of our journey and being part of the channel.
Here in isolation, we are still very happy that we've hit this milestone after 8 years of making videos.
And because we're on lockdown, we couldn't even go out and celebrate. So what did we do? We had a little square of chocolate.
Watched the live subscriber count go over to 100,000 on the computer, and just had a quick woohoo. No, we are very happy, and we've worked very hard for this. And thank you to everybody who's made that possible for us. So that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in tomorrow's vlog. Bye.
Bye.